Good afternoon, guys. I just got in from hunting. Total bust today. Just can't seem to get on the deer. Uh, there's so many acorns, or acorns, whatever you want to call them, according on what part of the country you're from. But day before yesterday, I had a really nice buck come in and worked a scrape. He was about 80 yards. Very nice deer. I've had him on camera before. Couldn't get a shot at the deer. 80 yards a pretty good poke when you're shooting with a bow. Uh, that's a pretty good poke when you're shooting with about anything, especially in some of these thick woods that I hunt. I did get the deer on film a little bit. He worked that scrape for over 30 minutes. I've never seen a deer do that. Not that long. I've seen him hit him a little bit and then go on, but he was pretty tore up. So it was a beech tree there. When I came in, I noticed that there was a scrape there, but I thought it was an older scrape. And what it was is it was a fresh scrape, but we had a big major storm the night before, and I didn't think about it, but all the leaves it got blew off from that storm was in that scrape, and I thought, well, that deer ain't cleaned that scrape, so I just thought it was old deer sign, and I went on about my way, and I ended up 80 yards away, but there was a creek that ran through there, and I seen a real nice creek crossing. I'm talking about just eat up with tracks, and I was like, I could probably sit right here. The wind was right, blowing my scent back out into the open water, and this creek ran into a little slough that ran into the back of some old backwater. So I was sitting there, and I thought, well, if a deer comes through, that's shallow right there. Maybe I can get a shot at this creek crossing. And I was set up about uh, 25 yards downwind from the creek crossing, and I actually heard that deer raking the leaves. The ground was still wet, but the wind had blew enough that the leaves had dry. So I took my binoculars and glanced through there, and lo and behold, there he stood. And I've been after that deer for a while. I think a lot of guys have been after that deer. There was four trucks there when I got there. It was on public land. There's a little bit of public land that gets opened a few times a year here that is just bow hunting only. They are going to have a muzzleloader hunt, so I may go back in during muzzleloader season and try to get a better opportunity at taking this deer, especially if he's still hitting scrapes, which he may be because it's only like another 2 weeks before the muzzleloader hunt. So our rut doesn't start here in Alabama until around Christmas, our hard rut, and all the way up through January into February, and we have another rut that's right before turkey season and runs into turkey season at the first part of turkey season. I've seen bucks with no antlers following does around and during turkey season, and still trying to breed those yearling does that had came into heat. So anyway, that's enough talk about that deer. But what was interesting about that deer working that scrape is when he went to urinate in that scrape. I've never seen a deer, you know, really pee, but that was, I'd say that was a half a gallon of uh, buck urine went into that scrape. And I always, I started thinking after the deer had wandered off, I actually got up and I was using my little tree seat that my wife got me for her anniversary, and it just unsnaps real easy, and you can be up and gone in a jiffy. So I eased up to that scrape about another 40 yards, hoping the deer would return, but he never did. And when I went to leave, I went over there, and that scrape was just soaking wet. And I got to thinking, all these mock scrapes I've made in my lifetime. A couple little squirts of deer urine out of a bottle didn't compare nothing to what he put in that scrape. Uh, I don't know if his tarsals would have been that musky or not, it being this early, but boy, he sure did pee in that scrape. So it really did look about like a gallon of water had been poured in it. Another thing I've been noticing is they if you're hunting in a swamp bottom or a river bottom, the deer ain't really hitting the white oaks like I thought they was, and they're really hitting the water oaks, which I ain't mistaken. A water oak is part of the white oak family, but they are absolutely hammering them, and that's what I've been keying in on is feed trees, and I've been finding a lot of them. It's just a lot of those feed trees are being hit at night. Where I was at the other evening, you had a standing corn with a strip of oaks that went through there that was a couple 100 yards wide, and basically you had a probably where some deer probably staged eating oaks and then went out into the standing corn that was probably living in the corn and bedding in the corn and or bedding along the edges of those fields and stuff because there wasn't a lot of sign going back into the heavy cover. So I figured they was staging up in them oaks and then headed out into the fields at night and eating corn, or they could have just been going back and forth. Not really sure a big buck would bed in corn because he probably couldn't get his rack in there, but that don't mean he wouldn't bed on the edge of it. So that's about as far as it goes as far as what I've been keying on. If you find a scrape right now, guys, if it's cleaned out or got a few leaves in it, hunt that thing. Uh, you take a scrape that's 3 by 3, 3 by foot, 3 foot one way, 3 foot the other. That'd be a really good scrape to hunt. Uh, I have done pretty good on some smaller scrapes. A lot of times this year, you'll find those scrapes about the size of a basketball. In previous years, I've done good on scrapes like that. Right now, there's so much food, and it's still so green here in the south that the bucks is not hitting the heavy cover just yet. The way that they will in about a month when all the leaves fall off, they're going to start finding a little bit more thicker cover to get into. Right now, with everything being green, they can, especially where I was at the other day with a cornfield and then, that big strip of oaks, which, it was still thick in there. We got a lot of sawbriars and stuff here in the south, so about any place a deer could find a little small hump or some trees that's blowed down or something like that. And we got a lot of blowdowns here in the south, so a lot of times they will bed in open timber down here. It's not always going to be, where they bed up against heavy, thick, thick, thick brush or a thicket like, you know, people normally talk about. There's a pine thicket that's going to be a great bedding area. That's way we was taught as young folks when we first started out hunting. You find you a good cedar thicket or a good pine thicket, and you found you a honey hole. And I never had any luck doing that. I had most of my luck hunting transition lines where I find a real thick line of heavy cover or thick cover, and then doe trails going in and out, and you go through there and you just find those rubs and scrapes that's on the edge of that transition and set up. And with the wind blowing the right way, in your face or whatever which way you set up, just make sure you hunt with the wind. And I've done really good hunting transition areas, mainly from bed to food, because I hunt a lot of evening. So most of the time, I probably don't. The deer I shoot probably don't travel maybe 150 or 200 yards before I get a shot on them. But since I've gotten more into bow hunting, I've really gotten to where I want to get closer to the beds. But when they're bedding in open timber, because of sawbriars and blow down trees, there's not a whole lot you can do to pinpoint their beds, because they're just basically bedding every which way because there's so much food. They can just stand up and start eating. Most of the deer they're bedding under oaks with blowdowns, and if you don't know what a blowdown is, it's a tree that's been taken down by a storm. They just lay in the tops of those trees or up against them, and they'll lay where they can watch, the openings and the winds at their back. And it's really hard to hunt oaks like that unless you're gun hunting. You could get up in a tree stand and probably make a couple 100 yard shot through some of this timber. But bow hunting, it's kind of hard doing this. So all my bedding areas that I located haven't been producing. So most of the deer are bedding in the open, and kind of sucks, and it's kind of hard to harvest them when they're doing that. But I have noticed a lot of beds around fields also this evening, or not this evening, but so far this year. Around, hay fields and stuff like that, you'll see where deer's been bedding, where the tractors and they can't get into the corners to get the corners cut. You still got that tall grass. I've been finding a lot of beds in that, and a lot of those could be nighttime beds. I don't know. Sometimes they'll lay there and look across the field for danger. Probably the wind at their back, and they can watch anybody or anything that comes across that field. So that's about the way the first 2 weeks has gone for me. I'll be glad when the acorns start to rot a little bit. I did notice today that some of them are sprouting, but they look like some red oaks that I had found. Southern red oaks had dropped a few, and probably from some storms a few weeks ago, or it's been really windy this year so far. Those was probably some early droppers, and I noticed they'd made soil contact and had started sprouting. And deer will still eat them when they're sprouting, but I normally don't key on red oaks until later in the year if there's nothing else for them. When they start hitting them, I start hitting them. So keep scouting, guys. Get out and learn what the deer in your area are doing. Learn what they are eating. Here in Alabama, baiting is legal, so that takes away a lot of our deer movement. Got all these feeders. Most of the deer, they go in bed, then they'll end up at one of these feeders sometimes in the night, right after dark, or in the middle of the night. They just bounce from one feeder to the other, and it's hard to kill a deer that's doesn't have to work for anything. And when he ain't having to work for food, I mean, it's hard to get him. I think sometimes too much food is bad. I wished I could find a big old hill just full of cedars, about a couple hundred acres full of pine and cedar with a cornfield butted up next to it, or something like that, to where that would be the one of the only food sources around. That would be awesome. But right now, there's just so much food in the woods. I mean, you got people that do bait. I would say probably 70% of our hunters in Alabama, they use bait on their private land, their hunting clubs, stuff like that. I'm not against it. I do use a little bit of bait on some private land that I do have. I got a little bit behind my house, a little up the road. few more spots that is family owned land that I can put out some bait if I wanted to. Years that I've been most successful on bait is when there isn't any uh, acorns. When the acorns is gone, I've done really good with bait. I mean, of course you would, because the deer will come attack your corn or whatever it is you feed. But there's still a lot of, even though we've had a few frosts, there's still a lot of stuff in the woods that's still green that the deer will eat on. I've cut them open and seen where they've been eating privet. I've cut them open and seen where they've ate briars and bullweed, all types of. There's a lot of vegetation in the south that don't never really die, especially the that Chinese privet. It's green all year. So I mean, they will they'll munch and chew on that stuff. I've noticed it. Uh, they don't attack it, but they will eat it. If they're wanting something green. A lot of times, some of our fields down here will stay green most of the year, and I did find one pretty good draw that the entire field was cut, and it was hay field. But I got over in the corner of a field, and there was some clover that had came in, and the deer was just hammering it, destroying it. And then in another corner of another field on a different piece of property, I found what I call dewberry. That's these little sawbriars that come up about ankle high, and they grow in a big patch, and the deer was destroying them. They have been pounding the cockleburs this year too. Uh, so they still got a lot of green food sources out there. It's still early, so I'm trying not to get myself burnt out bow hunting, because I do that a lot. We get about a month head start before everybody else. We can get out and start bow hunting. But we do have a really long rifle season, which starts around November 15th or 14th, something like that. It's like muzzleloader season starts, and then the high-powered rifle season will open like between the 18th and 21st of November, and it will run plumb through February the 10th. So the deer, there's going to be a lot that gets harvested. I like bumping around, hunting a little bit of public, a little bit of private. I'm not, subject to just hunt one type of land. I enjoy hunting hills and mountains and valleys and river bottoms and swamp edges, and I'm a do it all type of guy. I don't have just one set way of hunting deer. I think when you do just have one way of hunting deer, it makes you limited, and there's nothing wrong with going out on public land hunting, because sometimes you take 4 or 5 guys in an area hunting, and make the deer move even better. And sometimes I think that's what it needs to be done. Some of these private lands, you'll have a guy that owns 600 acres and nobody's allowed to hunt it, and it's just infested with deer, and those deer pretty much, kind of like living in a state park. They never get any pressure. I can think of several farms that I know of that's 500, 600 acres that allows no hunting whatsoever. And what's strange about that is they'll plant all those fields and stuff in beans and in corn, and then they'll go buy spotlighting permits our state sells, and they will go out in the summer, you know, when they get these beans planted, and they will just kill one deer after another. So I really wish those guys would allow some type of hunting, even if it was just bow hunting only. That instead of just letting it, shooting a deer and just letting it go to waste, it's kind of pointless. I mean, once they shoot them, they're not allowed to touch the antlers or eat them or anything like that. But they spotlight a lot of deer that they have a permit for. I understand that some people see them as a nuisance, but you could say walk in only, charge some guys some money and make you some money. Let the guys get out there with some bows, no gun, and take care of some of them deer. And you could still do your nuisance permits at night if you wanted to. That I think that you would end up a lot better like that. Because there's always somebody out there who would really enjoy that deer instead of just letting it lay there and waste. I'm not going to get the farmers mad at me or nothing. I understand, times are hard, and the way prices is these days, you can't have any type of critter, just sitting there eating on something you've planted, that you're going to sell. But, if you guys are farmers and you hear this, think about allowing some bow hunting. Don't allow any vehicles whatsoever. That way your fields don't get tore up. Let some guys come in there and hunt. Charge them some money. Make you a little money off of it. It would definitely help, especially with the economy the way it is. But I noticed a lot of the guys up north, they're having a little bit better time so far, which their season opens a lot earlier than ours do up there. But I wished Alabama here in the South, we would open up in around September the 25th, especially here in northern Alabama, because that's right before all the acorns hit the ground. And if you could, it would help us hunters out a little bit more because, like, we just opened 2 weeks ago, and there's so many acorns on the ground. It's just hard. It's hard hunting. It really is. It's horrible. We got one of the screwiest deer seasons I've ever seen. Opens up October the 15th. We have no type of velvet hunts. We have no type of, like I said, all the food sources like acorns and all these corn feeders are all fired up by the time deer season starts, and it really puts a hurt on you. If it would open up a month earlier before these deer switch over to just pounding acorns away, the deer I have on camera, most of them, they're not in bachelor groups anymore. They've done split up. They've done decided, who's going to be the dominant buck, who's going to, do all the breeding. And it really, if we would have just in September about 20, if it just, yeah, September 25th, that would have been a good day to open. We had several deer, still in bachelor groups. Maybe open it for a week. Give the guys a chance to actually harvest a velvet deer. I've always wanted to take a velvet deer. I went up and hunted Tennessee in August and tried to take a velvet deer. Little to my surprise, I thought it was bow hunting only, and I got up there on this particular piece of public land, and they was shooting them with high-powered rifles. So that kind of stunk that up for me. I probably won't go back because they was sitting around them bean fields up there like dove hunters, and there was a lot of deer taken. There's a lot of big deer up there. And I'm not saying I'm against it or anything. That's the way those guys hunt. But I really do wish our season would open earlier. You know, just for a week. Give us a week. And now we got the new CWD unit. We need to open that. I think it did open October the 1st. I could be wrong. I think it was October the 1st that they did open that. But over there where they opened it at, that's all national forest and it's big mountains, and it's pretty rough hunting. It doesn't really give other guys an opportunity who can't get out in those big mountains and walk around like that. They should just open the entire state on a certain date and just be done with it, and run it all the same. The really long gun season bothers some guys. It don't really bother me. I mainly bow hunt, but some guys are wanting to cut her tags down. I really don't want to cut her tags down. I like the tags about like that, $3. You get some doe tags too. That's pretty good. But we have a lot of deer here. I think the last time I looked, it was over 20 something deer per square mile. So that's 640 acres. Uh, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good patch of deer. You got 20 some deer for every square mile. I mean, that's a lot better than most states, and I'm proud of that. But what it is, a lot of guys now got a lot of more educated than what it was when I was a young feller first starting out. If we saw a deer, if it was legal, we took it. Some of the guys took them even if they wasn't legal. But not to call any names or anything, but yeah, I really enjoy deer hunting and everything. I'm going to try to get a couple guys that I want to call and talk to, and I would love to, get on here and talk to maybe a Warren Womack, maybe a Dan Infalt, maybe get Dr. Ken Nordberg on the phone. I really look up to these guys. Those are other than my father who taught me everything I know about deer hunting, I idolize those guys a lot. I look up to them a lot. Warren Womack, if anybody don't know who he is, he's from Louisiana. He's got like close to 500 deer kills. So many with a rifle, so many with a long bow, so many with a compound bow, and this man knows every deer he's ever taken. He's got it wrote down. He's got all types of journals and stuff that he's wrote. He's very interesting man. I would love to have a conversation with him. So if anybody listens to this, Warren Womack, ask him if I can have a phone call with him. I would love to talk to him for about 30 minutes. That would be wonderful. Dr. Ken Nordberg, I think the world of that man. I have actually talked to him. He's a really sweet guy. You can email him, send him messages. He'll message you back and try his best to answer any type of questions you got. But I'd like to sit where I could actually have an actual conversation with him on the phone or something, a video chat, anything would be nice. I do know his son does a lot of his videos for him, like films in them stuff. I think his name's John. Maybe one day I'll try to contact him and see if I can talk to him. Dan Infalt, I have messaged and talked to Dan. He's a really good guy. Uh, I really enjoy Dan. A lot of the things he gets out and do, the stuff that he's taught people. He has really changed the way deer hunting people hunt. Uh, it's like before hunting beasts, people really didn't. Not saying they didn't know how to hunt, but they've gotten a lot smarter now since they can jump on YouTube. You take a guy that had to hunt 20 years to learn all that can now get on there and type in this, type in that. And now all of a sudden, you know, he's a lot smarter than what the hunters was that I started out against. So anyway, if you guys would like and subscribe because that means a lot. I love to grow in my channel. I love to grow my Facebook page. We've got a really good group if you guys would like to check it out over at Backwoods Mafia Inc. YouTube channel is just Backwoods Inc. Uh, check us out. Doing my best to get one on film and get it on the ground. It's really hard filming. A lot of people don't understand how hard that really is until you try it. And a lot of people don't realize how hard it is to make YouTube videos and content and stuff like that until you get out and you really try it. When you sit and you make a hunting video that takes about 20 minutes worth of filming and then you have to edit for 7 hours, it's horrible. it's I love to watch them and do them for. I don't even watch my own, but I love watching other people. But it is really hard. It's not something easy. It's not for everybody, and I don't think that everybody will be able to handle it stress wise. It is pretty stressful when you get something created or you accidentally delete everything or you didn't save it. Oh no, man, you talking about wanting to throw the computer out the window. I mean, or your phone, either one, whatever you use to edit. And everything runs off these daggum batteries. Man, your batteries start to die. Oh no. You got your camera battery, you got your cell phone battery. I do carry a little portable battery charger with me everywhere I go in the woods, so I do have some type of power supply, but my camera that I run, my I only use it for the shots, like if I'm fixing to shoot a deer or if my phone gets low. So I just got it stuck up there. If a deer comes in, I'm gonna be able to get a shot. I'll kick that camera on. I do most of my interviews and a lot of my stuff from my cell phone also. So anyway, that's enough about it, guys. That's about what it's been like here in the South. The first couple of weeks, it's been pretty hard. I have seen a few guys knock off some bucks. I don't know if they'd want their names mentioned on here or not, but and in our group alone, I think we had 4 or 5 guys that has taken bucks so far, and one really nice one yesterday went down. Buddy over the weekend, he shot a pretty nice one. And that's about it. But you guys take care. Remember to like and subscribe. Check us out over at Backwoods Mafia on Facebook. Just type in Backwoods Mafia Inc. and it's going to pull us up. Join us. Come along and be a part of the group. You can get on there. You can post and share and like and chat with everybody. We got a really good group, and I'm really proud of our group. YouTube channel once again is Backwoods Inc. That's just the name of it. I wanted to keep them separate, and that's what I'm going to continue to do. So, anyway, thanks and God bless you. Take care. Everybody have a great night.